Let's discuss this further with our guests. We have two people that I'm going to speak with right now. The Secretary General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, Zolani Mkiva, and the Executive Head of the Orania movement, Joost Strydom. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. The meeting is still continuing right there at the White House, but let's discuss what we've heard so far. First, I'd like to ask Zolani Mkiva, if I may. Just moments ago, Trump showed President Ramaphosa videos of unknown origin of white farmers asking for help with allegations that their land could be confiscated without due process. How can you comment on that?
Well, it's been a very interesting interaction between President Ramaphosa and Trump. And I think it's a very unprecedented meeting, and it's going to be quite very interesting as to what is going to come out of it. But surely you can see already the gestures of President Trump that he is there to actually push South Africa to do what America, especially the American administration, wants under his stewardship. So he's going to propel and actually try to coerce and try to bully President Ramaphosa and his delegation to actually agree on a number of demands that they are going to be placing in front of them.
I have to agree, Mr. Ramaphosa did seem a bit uncomfortable when Donald Trump was showing him those pictures, while Trump even seemed to get a bit angry. He, after that, started showing all these newspapers with articles about this violence concerning the white farmers. Mr. Strydom, if I can ask you now, Ramaphosa said his government policy is totally against any racial discrimination as per the law, and farmers' deaths are a result of criminal activity, not oppression. How can you, a casual observer, tell those two apart?
Well, yes, and I think it's very important to point out that there is crime in South Africa, and that does not mitigate the fact that there's also racial discrimination. I think it's very easy to test if there's racial discrimination. It's quite easy to look at the legislative framework in South Africa, where there's 142 laws based on race. More than that, everybody in South Africa suffers from crime, but not everybody gets messages written in blood in the crime scene saying, kill the boer, kill the farmer. Not everyone hears tens of thousands of people chanting for their demise in the most violent ways. Not everybody hears the words, we must slit the throat of whiteness, or that we are not calling for the killing of whites yet. So that's kind of the important distinction point, is to say, yes, there is crime, yes, everyone is affected, but there's disproportionate violent torture against farmers in South Africa. And it's also more than that. It's also the idea that the conflict goes around displacement, displacing people from their rightful property and denying a specific group of people, a people, the Afrikaner people, the right to exist.
Mr. Mkiva, we lost you there for a second. I think we're back now and the connection is good. Would you agree, or can you say that there's no threat at all for whites in South Africa and that assaults on their property aren't frequent?
Well, all South Africans are equal before the law, and we are a non-racial and a non-sexist democratic society, which has a room for all our communities to exist and be protected. When we are affected by crime, indeed, we are all affected, black and white. There is no persecution of whites per se, but of course we have challenges of criminality which have reached grotesque proportion. And the state apparatus, insofar as the security forces and the security cluster, is overstretched, and it doesn't have the capacity right now to deal with the crime and criminality that persists in our country. There is no way that we have a government that is singling out the whites and the white Afrikaners and segregating them. Not at all. Actually, as far as we are concerned, they still enjoy more protection than the black population in South Africa. We are the ones who have always been very much exposed. We are still trying to balance things, you know, out of a history that has been very unfair, which has put us on the receiving end. So part of the transformation that is happening in the country whether it relates to the land question, whether it relates to the economy and the wealth. It's something that has to happen because there is no way that we can negate the historical imbalances. We have to do repairs. We have to ensure that those that have been outside the center of the economy are brought into the center. And it happens that they are the majority. The white privilege, which has been inherited from the apartheid era and the colonial era, it needs us to educate the white community and the white people in particular to have an understanding that they themselves, they had their own affirmative action which occurred after the Anglo-Boer War. The British and the Hollanders agreed to work together, and they agreed to empower those of the Netherlands origin because they were excluded economically by a British regime. So time has come, and we are the natives here as Africans. So it's very important that they must open up and they must have a sense of willingness, because we want to do everything constitutionally through the book, not through the barrel of the gun. This government is discouraging anyone who's having a war talk. We don't want blood split. All what we want here is a process of equitability and the correction of the wrongs of the past in order to empower our people and give them a better, decent life which they deserve in the country of their origin. We are not telling the white people to leave this country. We never said that. But if they want to leave, they must leave voluntarily. They must not make an excuse that it is something that is propelled by us as a country. The government policy is very clear on that. And we are also very firm that land, 80% of the land is still in the hands of the people of European origin. The original people of this country, the natives, the aborigines, they only share less than 20% of the land. Can it be fair?
Gentlemen, if I may interrupt just for a second. Mr. Strydom, I saw you were shaking your head there at one point. Do you not agree with what was just said? But the fact is, over 70% of farming land in South Africa does belong to the white demographic, which makes up only around 8% of the total population. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I would not agree, because that is a very ignorant way of looking at the study that was conducted. That study specifically refers to title deeds. Now, if you understand South Africa, you will understand that that is a ruse. Land in South Africa is not only owned in terms of title deeds. Most of the land is owned by government and also by the trusts, including the Zulu Kingdom. The Ingonyama Trust is not registered per every single square meter as different title deeds. But the Zulus own that land. The Zulu people do own that land. So if you only count the title deeds, only the farming land that is manifested and administrated in the Western system of title deeds, yes, you will get to a certain conclusion, but that is ignorant towards the size of land that the mostly black government and the Ingonyama Trust and the Xhosa peoples of South Africa own in different land owning systems. Not understanding that will lead you to the ignorant conclusion that there is this disproportionate ownership. And what's more is to refer to Afrikaners as the Dutch is even more ignorant. Afrikaners are not Dutch. We are here for 400 years. That would be the same as for me to say that your guest is still from the Congo or further north. People migrated into South Africa. No, we were one of those groups, and we established infrastructure here. So to say that Afrikaners are Dutch is not the truth. We are native to here. My family has been here 100 years before the United States declared independence, and we are native to this country as well, and we have rightful ownership of land as well. To put everything under the excuse that there was injustices in the past and that there's a never-ending story where Afrikaner farmers are forced off their farms is simply not logical. And that's why we created the community of Orania, where Afrikaners can have a place and can build a future and even share our recipe, our self-determination recipe with other communities in South Africa who are taking up that invite more and more.
Mr. Mkiva, do you have anything to reply to that?
No, he's making a mistake. I mean, we are Africans as people of South Africa who are natives here. We didn't come from another continent. And Afrikaners originally are from Europe. They are natives of Europe originally. But we agree that they are citizens now of South Africa. They are citizens. And there's a difference between citizenry and being a native. You will never be a native here because you are not originally from here. Your ancestors are from Europe. Our ancestors are from Africa, and Africa in its entirety belongs to us as Africans. But we are open to live side by side with you. That's why you can even create instruments which are like Orania, which, by the way, are not supposed to happen under the circumstances, because we say we must live side by side as citizens of South Africa. It's wrong to say that we are ignorant about the land question. Remember, land was taken to us in a genocidal manner. Our people were killed and raped by people who came from Europe, from Holland, from Britain, from France, from Germany.
My ancestors did not rape anyone. No one. And
can I complete my statement? But we are prepared to say, let's reconcile. We are not wanting any revenge from those genocides. All what we want is our land to be restored in a manner that is equitable. We will still keep land for you, by the way. But all we are saying is that there has to be transformation. There has to be some reforms, restitution in relation to the question of land. This land must be shared equitably. The majority of land is in the hands of the white community here. Let us not be academic about that. You talk about the Ngonyama Trust is communal land. Communal land is under traditional leadership, and that is just less than 10% of the land you're talking about. The bulk of the land, more than 70%, is firmly and fully embedded under the hands of the people of European origin. And we need to be frank and be honest in order to resolve the challenge that we have in South Africa, so that we don't trap our children and grandchildren into an unprecedented civil war. This matter must be solved constitutionally, and you have to reason with us, because you inherited land parcels which were stolen from the African majority. But we are saying, it's fine, let's talk and let's do that constitutionally. But don't be a denialist and say that certain things did not happen. We know our history. You came to the African continent moving from a European continent. We are
Mr. Mkiva.
Of this time. Yes.
I apologize. I do have to keep this program running in order. I understand that we're discussing quite a sensitive issue here, but I do have to ask Mr. Strydom. Reports say that Orania doesn't allow non-whites to live in its territory or be a member of the movement. That certainly seems like discrimination, isn't it?
Orania is an Afrikaner community. It's a cultural community as much as the Zulu community or the Xhosa community is places where they celebrate, build out, and secure future for their peoples. Afrikaners are a distinct people. We are a distinct culture, and to deny us the right to not only protect but also build out our culture is wrong. Furthermore, the Constitution guarantees us that right. There's very specifically even the Accord on Afrikaner Self-Determination, which was signed by the previous President Mandela, Deputy President Mbeki, and the Wally Musa Declaration in Parliament, stating that Afrikaners do have the right to self-determination, as was put into the Constitution of South Africa in the 90s. We have that right. We are a culture, and we have that right to protect our culture in that sense. And it seems, with all the violent farm attacks and with all the rhetoric and with all the Julius Malema singing "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," that building a place like Orania is now more necessary than ever. It's necessary to do this in order to create a future, to preserve our beautiful language, our Christian faith, and to create a place for our people. And that is why we built Orania. It's necessary, and I think it's clearly necessary in the politics of the day. We can clearly see why it is so necessary. So I think the first step would be to just recognize exactly what Wally Musa said in Parliament, in Mandela's Parliament in the 90s. The pursuit for Afrikaner self-determination is a legitimate pursuit. Those were the words back then in Parliament. Just recognize that. And then we can also say that the rights of Afrikaners outside such a space should also be protected and also be recognized. But I think creating a heimat for the Afrikaner culture is a good start.
Mr. Mkiva, if I may, just can you present your opinion in what's the best way to resolve this issue so that both sides of the argument aren't discriminated against?
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong for a cultural community to exist. But there's everything wrong when a community exists at the exclusion of other people of the same country. In the Zulu kingdom, in the Xhosa kingdom, in the Venda kingdom, those cultural communities exist, but white people are still allowed and they live in those areas. Why in Orania you wouldn't allow the native South Africans to come in and stay there? That's what we are talking about. It's wrong. You can't make it a reserve only for Afrikaner people. I come from the Xhosa kingdom. There are many people of European origin who exist, who have got homes, who run businesses there. They stay there. They are allowed. So I think it's one of the things that we ought to do in order to move forward as a nation, that instruments that are like Orania, they need to transform with the times and they need to benchmark on the rest of what South Africa does so that we are promoting integration of our society in the best interest of our people. So I think that there's something that is untoward in that kind of character and conduct. So all I'm saying is that we have to appeal to them to realize that they are the ones who actually have to show remorse. It shouldn't be us who are always opening arms and say, no, come, let's talk. Really, I mean, there come a time when I have children now. They are asking difficult questions. And at least with us, we were taught by President Nelson Mandela on reconciliation, on forgiveness, as well as ensuring that we move forward as one people. It's very important because we realize that Afrikaners are part and parcel of the South African experience. But that does not make them to have a sense of entitlement to do things that are reminiscent of segregation and discrimination. So those things need to be really taken out of our society completely. We have a very, very bad history of racism. Anything that has an impulse of that may just ignite something which is unwanted. So I would make a humble appeal to the Afrikaner people that let's work together. There are very good Afrikaners in our country who love South Africa, who love the wonderful plateau that we have, who are prepared to work with the native Africans. So I'm saying, for me, I think this is a roadmap that we have to follow, to work together in the best interest and allow us as the native to call the shots. It's our land in the final analysis.
Mr. Mkiva, thank you for those thoughts. Before we end this session, Mr. Strydom, do you have anything to reply to that?
I absolutely have. Afrikaners have, for the past 30 years, Afrikaners did work with the system. They did work with all the changes. Afrikaners transformed with everyone. And now we are in a situation where people are openly chanting, kill the boer, kill the farmer. If your children, good sir, are asking difficult questions, can you think what the Afrikaner children are asking when they turn on the television and major political parties, the representatives of such parties, are screaming for their genocide? Do you understand how they feel when they hear that their aunt or their uncle has been killed on a farm brutally? And do you understand how they feel the second that you say on this program that you don't want to use this road of violence, but implying by that you're willing to do this? If you truly want to work together, there's only one way, and that is to recognize the diversity. The so-called slogan of South Africa is unity through diversity. Recognize the diversity of Afrikaners. Let Afrikaners build a place where they can, from a position of safety and from a position of freedom, willingly cooperate as they see fit. You cannot go and say that Afrikaners have no right to land in this country. We've been here 400 years. So recognize places like Orania. And then cooperation can be voluntarily from there. As many communities are knocking on the door of Orania asking how self-determination can be achieved. For example, the Amabele people, the Barulong people, The people of Mnyameni, the Xhosa community in the Eastern Cape, they have knocked on our doors and asked how we are delivering local services and how they can use our recipe. But first, it is necessary and needed for the recognition of a place for Afrikaners. Afrikaners don't want to flee South Africa and go to the US. They love this country as well, but the future needs to be secured for them where they can, from a place of confidence, make voluntary decisions and not being forced or threatened by violence or where screams of genocide doesn't ring in their ears. And that's the only way forward. It's the only legitimate and only just way forward. And I think the government and political role players should give serious consideration of this very important fact.
Gentlemen, I would like to thank you for the open and frank discussion. I understand it's heated, but it is quite a sensitive subject. Thank you so much for taking part in the program. Zolani Mkiva, Secretary General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa. Joost Strydom, Executive Head of the Orania movement. Many thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.